Hi, Internet. It's Emily SW.
Sam.
And we are here on camera, which is a little foreign to us at the moment. We've been working on the podcastle.
Yeah, we haven't done an actual video in a while.
Yeah, so if you haven't listened to the podcastle, check that out, because we've been doing a lot of those. We're having fun with them.
Yeah, basically we just talk more about stuff.
Yes, and yeah, no movies. We're doing a movie react, so podcastle is more literature,
Yeah.
literal text instead of the movie text. But so we have a film react. We're coming at you with Metropolis, the 1927 science fiction classic.
Should probably disclaim, we did watch this already.
We did. This is a long film. We watched the full cut, which you can watch now.
There were still scenes missing.
Yeah.
Just because they're lost. But trying to boil this down into the key scenes for this video was a little difficult.
We didn't. We're just gonna scrub through and talk about the things that we find to be important to the story and some gothic elements. This is more of a analysis of the story, and, you know, like I was watching some people do Metropolis, and they were talking more about the cinematography and the visual kind of metaphors. We're going to delve a little bit more into the text, essentially, of the film.
Story. I mean, I don't have a film background at all.
I took one class in college. Okay, so this was filmed in 1927. This film has a tumultuous history. So we'll start at the beginning. So Fritz Lang was the director. And his wife, they decided, him and his wife were like, we're going to make a project together. So the wife wrote a novel that came out, I think it was 1925. It came out a little bit before the film did. But it was always meant to be a film. So the wife wrote this novel, but they were in cahoots together. And he's like, okay, you write the book. I'll make the movie. It'll be perfect. So it was a little bit of a joint venture. And even with the book explicitly being written to be turned into a movie, the movie still differed from the book. Apparently, no, we haven't read the book, we just watched the movie. But in the book, there's more, like, supernatural witchcraft, occult elements, apparently. The movie only barely touches on it.
I guess you can see how that would be more difficult to film.
Yes.
However, I think we missed out.
Yeah, we might have to maybe come around to the book again at some point.
Knowing what we know about the author.
Yes, so that's another part of the tumultuous history. So this came out in 1927 between World War I and World War II in Germany. So if you know even a modicum, even a teeny weeny little bit about world history, you know that time period in Germany, tumultuous. After this movie came out, some Nazi propagandists were like, hey dude, to Fritz Lang, the director, we love this movie, you should direct for us. And Fritz was like, no, I'm not no thank you. So he ended up going to America because he didn't want to be a Nazi. But his wife, on the other hand, pro-Nazi. So they got divorced. So that tells you a little bit about their characters. Tells you a lot of bit about their characters, I think. So that was part of the tumultuous history. The other part of the tumultuous history, which is connected, this movie was heavily edited and heavily censored. So many versions of this movie exist. So when it originally came out, it was this really long movie, like 2.5 hours. And then when they were going to have it come out in America, America looked at this and they're like, A, too long. B, too communist. So it was censored and edited down. One of the changes they made, for example, was there's a character in this, Hel, which is just a name of the character, H-E-L, German name. But they took that out, completely cut her out of the American version of the film because it was too close to the H-E double hockey sticks.
Which doesn't make sense to me, because you're already translating the title cards.
Yes. You couldn't just give her a new name.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so they took that so basically, they just took the character motivation for a very major character out of the movie in the American version. And apparently the director didn't like that. He was very upset about it.
It is a pretty major...
Yeah.
And again, easily changeable.
Easily changeable in translation, so not sure why that happened. But so that was the American one. And then a heavily censored, cut down version came out again in Germany. He didn't like that either. So the only ones that existed for a while were these heavily edited, heavily censored, cut down, different versions. But then, in Argentina, a full version was recovered and restored, so that's what we watched. Now, they weren't able to fully restore it. Some scenes were beyond saving. So, in the version we watched on YouTube, which will be in the description box, they just have title card that describes the scene, essentially. Just what was happening, anything they couldn't actually restore. So this is the fullest version of this movie that exists, to our knowledge, at least, that we found.
Remember before when I said just choosing scenes was difficult for a review?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what cutting scenes out of this did to the story.
Well, no, like, even just reading about the cuts, taking out first of all, Hel, right, which is a deceased character. Hel is a deceased character, we never meet her. But her being dead is a character motivation and a key plot point that essentially the entire plot turns around.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking, how do you cut things out and still have a story that makes sense?
Well, no, and I also was reading that there was an alternate ending where instead of the ending that we did see, which we'll get to, the main character, instead, he goes off into space.
What?
Yeah, which is a little... I can see why they didn't go with that ending, because it makes no sense with the story. Like, the ending we get has emotional payoff, and it makes sense. But apparently, they filmed, you can actually watch clips of it, they filmed an ending where he got on a spaceship and went, Voo!
On that note, should we jump into the movie?
Yes, we'll jump in.
Metropolis.
And as we're getting into it right away, you can see already...
The Art Deco.
Yeah, you can really tell that this was the foundation for a lot of science fiction that was to come. Because a lot of this imagery repeats in later movies, even like books, concepts, stuff like that. You know, and right off the bat, we had that vision of the city, and then we went right into the machinery.
And the clock that I always think there's something wrong with.
Yeah,
every time they show it.
It looks so weird.
I think it is. I think it's that 8. That 8 just looks so wrong.
The stylized letters.
And it throws the whole thing off.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like backwards.
Yeah, that's what every time I see that clock, I think it's backwards. But it's not.
No, it's not.
Here we have the machine, and then also...
The machine.
The machine.
Yes. The imagery, the message of this film is not... They're not making you dig for it. It's right there. You know, we've got this metaphor of the working class, the lower classes, just existing to fuel the machine. Kind of a mass.
Yeah, and there's no individuality about them at all. They're all walking in uniform at, this pace in a line.
Mm-hmm. No personalities, no distinguishing features. Just... They're basically alive to work, and that's it. You could also draw comparisons to cattle being herded, or work animals, stuff like that. We're not going to delve too much into the, filmography imagery, but there is a very deep below the Earth's surface. There's a lot of contrast between light and dark, and the filmmakers very clearly, where you have these people, the workers in the dark clothes, and then we'll see later people in the white clothes that are meant to be contrasting. But so they live in an underground city. They have no sunlight.
it's taken the upper class and lower class quite literally.
Very literally, yeah. You can also make the comparison to hell here, of them traveling deep down below. They're literally going to hell. They're in hell, they're in purgatory. So then in contrast, again, taking upper and lower classes literally, the upper class is literally above them.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the sunshine. They're not working, they're having fun.
No, even their institutions are more about education and leisure.
Yeah. But so basically they're able to live this life because of the people below them that are doing all the work.
And I thought it kind of looked like, because you almost have a very, like, Grecian kind of setting here.
Yes.
It's like Mount Olympus.
And with the sports, too. You know, you think of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
We have eternal gardens. Potentially a reference to the Garden of Eden.
But this is a garden full of temptation.
Yes, this is not a pure garden. There's boobies in this garden.
The other word I want,
temptation and lust, sin.
Lust, sin, yeah, any of those would work.
Excess.
Mm-hmm. Really goofy costumes.
That's how you can tell it's the future. Well, and it's interesting that the women have those big, it's not a pannier. Those hoop things on their hips.
False hips.
The false hips that is very reminiscent of the French aristocracy.
Oh yeah, because that was the style at the time.
Yeah, during a certain time period before a certain revolution that involved a certain machine with a big heavy blade on it.
Should we skip ahead a bit then?
Yeah. Right, so we now interrupt your regular leisure time
with
a saintly woman and children. Lowly children. And so now our our main character, Freder?
His name is Metropolis. No?
Mr. Metropolis Jr., actually, because his father runs the Metropolis, so Mr. Metropolis Jr. gets to see for the very first time
the unwashed masses.
Yes, he's seeing these grubby children, and and they're being guided by this very purely depicted beautiful woman, right? She's very clean, demure, she's covered up. She's not in black like the rest of the lower class people in this film. She's not in white like the upper crust. She's in a gray dress. And Mr. Metropolis here has never seen such a thing. He had no idea that the lower class existed.
Okay. Should we skip to her little speech in the caverns?
Yes. And before we play it, though, we can kind of briefly summarize what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the main character decides he wants to see for himself what life is like in the lower city. What the heck is it? I'm too far.
No, doesn't this speech happen later? Because he has to go through all this stuff, and then we get the scene with the robot and hell and all that stuff.
Oh, is it?
And then he takes the place of the clock guy. And then I think it's after the clock guy that...
Okay, let's skip to hell then.
Okay.
Which should be about here. So at 36:24.
So we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. So what we skipped over. So Mr. Metropolis decides he's gonna go in there and see the lower city for himself. And he sees these horrible conditions.
Yeah, he witnesses an accident. Somebody getting hurt. He has this vision while he's down there of this big machine that all the men are working at suddenly turns into a big monster face. A demon.
Like a demon, and then all these slaves, these people who have their hands tied, they're being force-fed into this machine. So he has this vision.
It's not subtle.
It's really not. Nothing about this movie is subtle at all. So then he goes to Daddy Metropolis, because his father owns the city, runs the city. And he's like, oh my god, I just saw this stuff. Did you know this stuff existed? And he's like, yeah, don't worry about it, dude. And so now, we're at the point in the movie where Daddy Metropolis comes to visit the inventor, Rotwang.
Yeah.
Great name.
Are you ready?
Yes.
And
we're
this scene.
Going to see a scene that was originally cut from the American version.
For whatever reason.
For whatever reason.
36:27 now.
So now this really, the fact that they cut this out of the American version is mind-boggling. Because this dead woman is the entire reason for half the plot. Like, half the plot is Freder discovering this class division. And then the other half of the plot is this dead woman being the motivation for what is to come, which we will watch. So Hel was Freder's mother, who died giving birth to Freder. So Daddy Metropolis is sad.
It's an impressive monument.
It is very impressive. But as we find out, it's not his. It's Rotwang's, the inventor.
That's quite the twist.
He also, you don't need any other context. You could look at him and go, mad scientist.
Yes, because he is the basis for the look.
Yes, and so now we're getting this backstory where the husband of Hel is like, she's dead, you gotta give that up. And he's like, nah, she's not dead to me. So he is trying to basically bring her back to life.
But not in a necromancy kind of way.
No. This is less Frankenstein and more... Well, it's basically Frankenstein, but with metal.
Which is really funny, because as we were reading on the backstory of this, H.G. Wells thought this was too
silly.
Similar to... Well, he thought it was too much like Frankenstein, and he thought it was very silly.
Yeah, he said it. He said something like it's the silliest movie I've ever watched or something.
But you see here, you have like even the occult symbols kind of going on.
Yes.
Behind this robot.
Yeah, and I guess at that point when H.G. Wells watched this movie, that was before the kind of the Frankenstein trope was a trope, right? Like it was soon enough after it was published where it probably hadn't permeated.
Frankenstein was published in 1818.
Well, yeah, but I mean because film hadn't been so prevalent, because we're so familiar with Frankenstein is a trope now, right? Like people retell that story all the time
because of the Universal film.
Yes. So that was before all that stuff. So to him, he probably just thought it was a ripoff. Whereas for us as a modern audience, it's a trope.
Right.
And fun fact, apparently, because there's a person in this suit. Apparently, it was Hell, not the character Hell that we just discussed. H-E double hockey
sticks. It was
sticks.
actually terrible.
It was hellish. Apparently, it was really painful to wear. Because it was, I forget what they made it out of, but it was really stiff. Because it's not actually metal, but they used that material because it looked enough like metal. So it was really stiff, and I guess the actress got all cut up and bruised, and yeah. But it's very effective. She does look like a robot.
Until you really look closely at it, you can see where all the panels and the skin actually are.
Yeah. So now we learn that Rotwang lost his hand. He now has a robot hand in his pursuit of this, which is a very alchemical kind of transaction.
Well, at least she didn't have to wear it for very long.
Well, yeah, apparently, though, because Fritz was such a perfectionist, apparently she did have to wear it for a long time. Because they kept reshooting these scenes.
I guess it was lucky for her that these scenes were not...
Yeah, yeah.
Here we have the son.
Yeah, he took the place.
Whatever this machine is supposed to do.
I don't think the machine is supposed to do anything. I think the machine, as a viewer, is just supposed to be the metaphor. He is the metaphor.
Yeah, doing a pointless task.
Mm-hmm.
With no end.
Yep, literally just time dragging him onwards. I keep hitting the guitar case. Yeah,
I am quite overflowing with guitars.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't pick up on the mic too much.
Should we try to find the speech now?
Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna see the woman from earlier. And so now Frater, Mr. Metropolis, Jr., as a worker, is now following the rest of these workers to this...
Their secret meeting.
Yes.
Cave.
A cave that is also a chapel. And you will see here...
He's already so moved.
Yeah, he's clutching his heart.
He's never done this much physical activity in his entire life.
No. Yeah, so now we see... Her name is Maria, by the way. I don't know if we mentioned that. Her name is Maria.
Oh, like Mary?
Yeah. Again, this movie is not subtle. But so she is standing in front of the crosses. You've got this light that's beaming directly on her in this halo type effect.
Yeah, with the candles and the light. It does look like an altar.
don't even know how you would call it anything else. But so now all these men are kind of kneeling in a very prayer-like...
Or are they just so exhausted from their endless work?
It's true, they're collapsing.
Meanwhile, these two...
They're plotting. And she's raised up. She's kind of up these stairs on the altar, on the pedestal, while everyone else is below her.
And we get a story time in the middle of the movie.
Yes, this is where, well, they tell us the story, but if you know anything about the Bible...
There's a lot of Bible in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bible in this. And it's not subtle Bible either. Like, I'm not super knowledgeable on Bible, but even I could pick up on it.
I was gonna say, you ever notice how the Tower of Babel is always depicted the same way, but you may not have noticed that, having not gone to Sunday school and stuff, but the Tower of Babel is always depicted like this.
Okay. It always looks kind of like an upside-down ice cream cone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether this is the origin for that depiction, or another example of it, I do not know.
Well, so now we're kind of getting... So the great minds that came up with the tower couldn't build it, so they had to hire hands, one might say, to build it. Audience, that's called foreshadowing.
You thought they were coming in 5, too.
Yeah.
Like a hand.
Okay, so now the film is basically telling us, here is the theme of the movie.
In case you couldn't figure it out for yourself.
No. But I'm pretty sure it's here. It literally spells it out for you.
It does. We get that quote.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. That's also a great line.
It is.
One man's hymn of praise is another man's curse.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to me that they went with this. They spoke the same language, but they can't understand each other because fundamentally their goals are very different.
Mm-hmm.
The actual way that the Tower of Babel story is taught is that in order to prevent mankind from actually building a tower to heaven, God created all the different languages so they could no longer understand each other, and that's why people all speak different languages.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
That is, like, actual story.
I knew that... Oh, here it is. Head and hands need a mediator. This is the entire theme of the movie. The mediator between head and hands must be the heart. That's it. That's the movie. You could stop watching now and you would know.
You've gotten the lesson.
But yeah, the only thing I knew about the Tower of Babel was that it had something to do with language. Because Babel or Babel, whatever the hell, however it's said, is often used in conjunction with language. Like there's the app, Babel, which is a language app.
Yeah. Babelfish, which is a translator.
Yeah, but I did not realize that was the actual story.
That is according to legend why different languages exist.
Interesting.
Because God saw them coming and said, "No, you don't." So he created language barriers.
I was gonna make a comment, but I think I'll keep it to
I
myself.
will make a comment.
Okay.
About the head and the hands and the heart, and how this was supposedly too communist. Because we have, like, a communism subplot.
Yes.
We also have the fascism subplot.
Mm-hmm.
But our heroes do not belong to either of those plots. Our heroes belong to the centrist plot.
Yes, yeah, and as you'll see, this, I think we mentioned this earlier, but this movie was criticized for being too communist. But the end of this movie is not pro-communist. It's not pro-fascist either. But
no, it's in the middle.
Yeah.
It's literally saying you need an upper class and a lower class, but they need to have the same goals in order to work together. Essentially.
Which is not how communism is.
I guess. Well, in this case, it's an economic class, right?
Yes.
We have workers and we have the rulers, but we could also argue that it's like a labor class and a thinking class. So you have the class of people who make the plans and the class of people who carry out the plans. You don't necessarily need an economic disparity.
That's true.
That. It would be an education disparity.
Yes.
But I guess in order for society to function, you do need people to do manual work.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, the thing that this is trying to get across is that one should not be subjugating the other. Mm-hmm. Like, one should not be subservient to the other. They need to help each other in order for society to truly function to the benefit of everyone. I think ultimately that's what this film is trying to go for. Which, if you know anything about communism, that's not what communism preaches. So I'm not sure why people...
No. But also we've got this romance subplot budding here.
Of course.
Because why not? You couldn't literally have a union between the classes without a literal union between the classes.
Yeah, we need a literal vehicle for the metaphor. So now we've got Daddy Metropolis, the fascist kind of symbol here. He doesn't like the fact that his son is fraternizing with...
Oh no, what a scandal. I think we probably now skip ahead to the robot making part. Alright, I will sow discord between them. So she's gonna get kidnapped. And I know we had a scene with the robot here.
Yeah,
but it was the priest and the.
I think they were talking about. We should do the 7 deadly sins though, because those come back later.
It does come back. We'll just start. This is just after the intermission, at 1 hour 4 minutes and 23 seconds.
I don't know if you can see this properly, internet, but I wore a thematic shirt for this movie. It says "Make Class War" like it's 1789. Spoiler alert for the end of the movie, but we're gonna have some action. No guillotines. Oh, here we go.
Okay, 1 hour 4.
So now Maria's been kidnapped.
By our mad scientist inventor.
Yeah, so then Metropolis Jr. is looking for her. He's in a church right now. And here we're gonna...
You're gonna be told what happens because
Yeah.
the footage is lost.
Yeah, the footage is lost. So there's somebody preaching.
The Karosa Babylon. This is from Revelations.
Yeah, so now this imagery of the woman on top of a 7-headed beast.
The beast, with the mark of the beast.
So this is important. Drunk on the blood of the saints.
I see why passages from, I was going to say that's really metal, but actually a lot of passages from that particular part are used in metal songs.
Yes. I was just about to say.
Specifically, there's a Moonspell song that opens with part of that, and I just know he says the blood of the saints. That sticks out really well.
It is, in fact, metal. You're correct. Yeah, you can tell, too, that some of the scenes, even the ones that they restored, aren't, like, some of the scenes are lower quality than others.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is part of this movie's charm. Okay, so here we have death and the 7 deadly sins.
This is also incredibly metal.
It is. I'm not really sure what... Like, I don't think death and the 7 deadly sins are usually linked, right?
I guess you could say that the sins and... Because we were just getting told all about the apocalypse.
Yes.
And how at the end days, basically, mankind will just become sinful and deserve the end to come, basically.
Yeah.
There's a whole long bit about, like, the angels sounding the trumpets and, like, the seas turn to fire.
Yes, I am somewhat familiar with that kind of stuff. Just from media.
Yeah.
But yeah, so keep that in your head, the 7 deadly sins and that depiction of death there, because we're gonna see them again. Also, badass. Oh, and this is this whole subplot with the worker whose place he took.
Yeah, he went to a brothel, or whatever this was supposed to be.
I think it was supposed to be a brothel.
Yeah, very, very interesting to me that they gave it, like, a Japanese-sounding name.
I bet that speaks to the technical term is Orientalism.
Yes.
Which, obviously, we don't use the term Oriental anymore, but Orientalism refers to the fetishization of Asian cultures by Western cultures. Which was very prevalent.
Yes. And it also would make it sound foreign.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess exotic is another part of it.
Yeah, exoticism. Exoticism, yeah. Yeah, this subplot, like... You don't really need this subplot.
No, I mean, the Yoshiwara's comes back.
Mm.
But the setting, actually, like, it could have been anywhere in the upper city.
Yeah.
It kind of... Should we skip ahead then?
Yeah, skip ahead.
To...
Ooh.
Oh, definitely here. Okay. So Frater is looking for Mario.
Yes, he's kind of caught in this labyrinth. He's looking for his...
This fun house.
Mm-hmm. He finds her shawl. So he knows she's been here.
Oh, I should probably say this was at 1:20. Or an hour 20.
Yeah, we're skipping around, obviously, because we don't want to put out a 2-hour video. But I think this movie is worth a watch all the way through.
I would recommend watching this one. And normal speed.
Yeah.
Not like when we watched Nosferatu at 2x speed, because I couldn't focus on it.
No, I do... this film is worth the watch. normal speed all the way through. Okay, so now, if you weren't getting the Frankenstein vibes before, here they come. But so Rotwang has fully captured Maria. He's got her in this contraption.
This is the blueprint for the mad scientist lab.
Yeah. All the bubbles, the test tubes.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, like, even, it's so nostalgic. Like, even I watched this for the first time with you when we watched it the first time. But, like, because this kind of setup has been used for basically every mad scientist that came after this, it's just, it reminds me of watching basically anything. Scooby-Doo. Abbott and Costello. I'm sure the Flintstones had something, you know?
I've never seen the Flintstones. Imagine seeing this in 1927, though. I know we said that about, like, Hexen and all the stuff that was going on.
That was more about the content.
Yeah. But there were also some nifty effects in it,
There were, yeah.
But this would be, I think, mind-blowing.
Yeah, like, even from a modern-day perspective, these special effects hold up.
They look good.
They do look good.
Because they're practical effects, not CG.
Not CGI. Well, and that's like why you, like, it's the same reason you can go back and watch Jurassic Park, and it doesn't look super dated, because the dinosaurs are animatronic. The dinosaurs existed. Oh, I should watch Jurassic Park again. Life, finds a way.
Oh, it's gaining a heart or something.
Yeah, so essentially, he's only transferring the physicality of Maria. Maria's head, her heart, her soul, are not being put into this machine. Which is the whole point of it, really. But you can tell this is the evil version because she's got eyeliner and dark lipstick. Alright, so we've skipped ahead. Freighter confronted Rotwang, but Rotwang's like, oh, Maria's with your father.
Scandalous.
You know, because he's got the shawl, like, I know you have her. But in actuality, the person that is with his father is the robot who has Maria's appearance, but is made for a darker purpose. So that the loss of the shawl is also the other signifier that this is not Maria, but this is the robot Maria.
Evil Maria.
Yeah. Because she stands, she moves, she kind of shows off her, look at me, I have a figure. Whereas the other Maria was demure, to use an internet buzzword.
This one also has issues controlling her face.
Yeah, her eyes don't work too good. She's got to look into that brand of eyeliner if she can't keep her eyes open.
Is this supposed to be like a technical malfunction? That's how you know it's not the real one, because not quite full control of its movements.
Yeah, so now Freighter's having a mental breakdown.
This is fantastic.
It is.
I mean, not for him, but for us, the
audience, visually.
Watching those effects.
So he's had a complete mental breakdown. He's in bed. Convalescing, as they say.
Did you hear what I heard?
Did. We have a special guest.
Has she ever actually been on camera so like you can see her? Here she is.
We get to hear her a lot.
Here is
Mr. Baby.
the culprit.
Mr. Baby.
She says, no, I'm not a baby.
Menace.
Yeah. So this is the scene, they're gonna put the robot to a test. In front of the upper echelons, the best of the best.
Yes, we're in this fancy club, gentleman's club.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, hi. I know, we're getting to the exciting part. So you have Robot Maria. The was it Babylon?
Yes.
Babylonian lady rising up on the backs of racial caricatures.
Yes. The only people of color in this entire movie.
Yes, notably. And so then we're treated to this fantastic scene where she is entrancing these men with her body. I feel like this must have been pretty scandalous.
I wonder how she felt filming that. I mean, I would have never taken the role to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an actor.
Me neither.
And then Frater is having visions again. He has a lot of visions.
Yeah.
So he's envisioning the priest that we didn't see earlier because the footage was corrupt. Not corrupt, but, you know.
Lost.
Yeah.
These guys also are acting like they've never seen a woman before. What are you doing?
Yeah,
They're like rabid.
Yes.
This dance is goofy.
Oh, they're the eyeballs. This is the kind of movie you probably don't want to watch this on substances. Because this might traumatize you. But it does certainly get a point across.
I mean, I think his reaction is par for the course.
Yeah.
In case you'd forgotten, this image.
And here it is again, in the flesh. Yeah, as we've talked about, this movie, not so. Here it is again. These men are literally saying, we will commit all the sins for her. Oh, this part's so cool. And then Death starts playing his bone flute. It's calling forth these sins.
Visually, it's quite striking.
It is, and you've got essentially this Babylonian monster being upheld by the sins of man in a very direct metaphor.
It's not even a metaphor, it's literal.
It's literal. Like, it's literal.
This is a pretty heavy-handed movie.
Yeah.
We have literal depictions of our metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
It tells us directly the themes.
Yep.
The message.
And even him right there in his vision, he's like, death descends on the city. So what do we think is gonna happen next? Okay, so here we have the robot imposter Maria inciting the working class to violence.
Which is the complete opposite message of the real Maria.
Oh yeah, intercut with the real Maria and the inventor. You know, this really could... The commentary in this movie on the state of society is still relevant in 2024.
Do people really change? Does anything really change?
Meaningfully, no. That is the human condition. So this is the part where Rotwang has turned the machine against Daddy Metropolis. Because Daddy Metropolis wanted to destroy the lower class's spirits. But Rotwang was like, no, I'm gonna overthrow this guy. So that's why we have this happening. And now, Frater, Metropolis Jr., is like, that's not my Maria. Can't you tell? Her eyes don't work. She's wearing black eyeliner. My Maria is a prep. She would never be gone.
I would think that people would find it weird to suddenly change direction of your, secret cabal speeches.
You would think.
Or you would at least question it, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that's not how the mob works, huh?
No, I also guess, this movie is already 2.5 hours long. They had to do something. They couldn't slow burn it anymore. Yeah, so now the mob is like, nah, this is the boss's son. Which is... So then, in an attempt to stab him, they stab one of their own. Which is another obvious metaphor. And so now they're like, let's all go and rise up.
We got another lost scene.
It's a shame, because Daddy Metropolis and Rotwang battle it out, and Maria is freed, and we don't get to see any of that. Okay, so now I'm pretty sure the plot here is that this was the guy that he changed places with, right?
Yeah.
And so he took the knife meant for him. Sacrificial lamb, he dies. Should we skip ahead again?
Okay. Where should we...
I think we should go to the water. The children in the water. Or do we want to talk? We should probably talk about them.
Alright, we're at 152.26.
Okay, so the workers have all...
They've succeeded in sabotaging one of the machines.
Yes. And so now they're celebrating because they in their minds, they've killed the machine that was killing them, essentially. That's what they think. Which, if this was communist propaganda, that's where the movie would end. However, this is not communist propaganda.
No, this is where everything goes even worse than it was already going.
Yeah, so when they break the machinery, what happens is... it... Not only... So it's not powering this utopia, the upper middle class. It's not giving them any power anymore, right? But it's also not protecting the lower classes' homes anymore. Because apparently somebody decided it was a good idea to build an entire city underneath a water reservoir or something.
Yeah.
So now that this machinery is broken and everything's collapsing, what's going to happen is this.
She just barely escaped that, didn't she?
Yeah, so this is the real Maria now. You can tell because no eyeliner. So she's down here. She's like, I gotta get back to my people. I gotta save the kids. So everything's exploding.
Yeah, so those elevators are their way to the top.
And now they're useless. And then we get the flood. And because all the adults went up to overthrow the machine, the upper class, who was left in the city to be drowned? But their children.
And I think, like you said, if this was communist propaganda, none of this would have happened.
No, none of this would have happened. The thing that makes this centrist is the fact that they're saying you cannot overthrow the working class. You cannot stop labor because labor, like, it holds society together. Is essentially like if the working class tries to overthrow the upper class and stop the machine, so to speak, they're killing their own children. So she's ringing this alarm. We don't get this, obviously, because it's a silent film. She's ringing this alarm to get all the children out of their houses. Like, we gotta get out of here, guys. And then we get this very visually impactful image of her struggling with this lever and all these children reaching up for her. Yeah, the other thing about this is, obviously, they rebel, they kill the machines that were killing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you never see any negative impacts on the actual upper class people.
No, that's true.
Like, it's kind of implied that without, the machines are powering their world, but all we see are the workers suffering.
Yeah.
Or the working children. Like, we never see any negative consequences for the other ones.
I'm sitting on my ankle and it hurts really bad.
I know, that's why I keep shifting. I try not to, but my back hurts.
And then they're just frolicking up here.
Yes.
While the city beneath them basically just crumbles to ruin.
And they have no idea. Oh, but
this looks like a pretty modern city up here.
It does, yeah. And you can tell this was also the blueprint for a lot of futuristic kind of utopia, Metropolis type cities. It very heavily reminds me of BioShock, the video game, which I think was probably heavily based on this, and also I think draws from Ayn Rand. That's a story for another time.
Oh, power went out.
Yeah, now he's like, what gives? My plan was going so well. I was sowing discord.
I think this was the inside of Yoshiwara's, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. So she is now inciting the upper class bourgeoisie types who watched her dance earlier into the streets. So now everyone is out dancing and frolicking and rejoicing while there are children dying below them and nobody's aware. And so now, as humans are wont to do,
we've replaced one violence with another violence.
Yes, so now they're gonna go after the witch, the robot. Keep wanting to say Horror Babylon, that's not what they called her. I know that is a term.
No, but that is what it's supposed to be.
That is what it is. So now they have a scapegoat. And we've saved the children now.
Just in the nick of time. Someone's watching us with one eye open.
Kitty audience. Yeah, she came screaming in here and then was like, nah, don't touch me. Essentially.
I must have gone to bed. I was just gonna say, I don't remember what happens to him, but how can you forget what happens to him?
It's pretty epic. Here we have the workers among all the cars are storming up. And Maria is exhausted. So she's resting over here, because they just helped all these kids. And they're like, yeah, we'll take them inside, we'll meet you there.
She's gonna have a problem now, because her and the robot look the same.
Yes, and these people don't understand the nuances of eyeliner. So they think she's the witch.
We really got a little bit of everything in this movie.
Yeah.
We got robots. We got biblical references.
Got witches?
Now we've got burning witches at the stake.
And wrongfully accusing people of witchcraft.
Which is also accurate.
Mm-hmm. Should we skip ahead again to
the good part?
Mm-hmm. Where's the fire?
I think we probably should just let it go.
Okay.
Here comes the actual robot. Man, if this doesn't make you nervous.
Yeah, seriously. And so now we've got this angry mob colliding with the ravelrous crowd who is singing and dancing and delighting in sins, one might say. So Maria fled to the church, obviously, because she's the good one. No, but now, in a twist of fate, the angry mob has the real... The robot. The witch. Yeah.
The fake Maria.
The real witch. The fake Maria.
The real robot.
The real robot. The whore of Babylon. So now we've got this kind of confusion where the mob...
Are those cars?
I think so. But so the mob chased the wrong Maria, who is the good Maria. And she escaped into the church. And they mistook the bad Maria for her, but that was who they wanted all along. But now we're going to have Frater, Metropolis Jr., come along and think that his lady love is being burned at the stake. But it's not. It's the fake. Yeah, this is pretty chilling, the way that she's just laughing the entire time. And this is also kind of a contrast to the previous scene where she was on top of the monster and being raised up above the sins. So she's still above them, but now they're celebrating her demise instead of...
Which is still pretty,
accurate.
Horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Of a response.
Yes, very accurate to human nature, unfortunately.
And so lights go out and everyone crashed into each other.
Now, I also read, and I was not able to verify this, so I don't know how true this is, but I also read that was real fire. So, like, that actress was actually there with a bunch of fire, and it singed her dress.
That is actually terrifying.
Supposedly. Which, honestly, knowing the way they made films, and the kind of stuff that went on even recently, like in Apocalypse Now, where they slaughtered that cow, actually on film.
Yeah, but that was also, like... filming an actual ritual too.
That's true. That's true. But anyway, so now we get Rotwang is chasing the good Maria, in case you've lost track. Because he thinks she's the living embodiment of Hell, his deceased person he was obsessed with.
Which doesn't actually make any sense because he transferred a different real person into it.
Yeah, it really... I could see how this movie would fall apart if you took out all the hell scenes. Because then what is... Like, Rotwang has no character motivation.
Well, I guess you could say it's his invention.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And I guess arguably if he built himself a robot woman to be a certain person, he could just build himself a robot woman just to be a robot woman.
That's true. That's very true. And of course, she is ringing the bell in the church. I know that's supposed to be dramatic, but it is a little funny. And she's just on the rope, flying around. But so that draws everyone's attention there. The big reveal. This is very literally Gothic. Like, that is a Gothic cathedral.
Yes.
So
that's what it's all about.
Architecturally. And me as a millennial, this just reminds me of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The cartoon.
I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
Just this whole thing, the whole, like, climatic fight in the cathedral.
Yeah. Which I'm sure that took its inspiration from this.
I've never actually read the novel.
I haven't either. I've only seen the Disney movie.
I know it's not the same as the Disney movie.
I'm sure it's, yeah. They never are.
Especially the ending is quite different. I read, like, the last couple pages.
Oh, really?
Yes. In short, everyone dies.
That tracks. So they have this big, exciting fight on top of the cathedral. So now everyone down there is watching, including the dad.
Metropolis?
Yeah, Daddy Metropolis is watching his son duke it out with Rotwang.
Well, he's learned a lot.
So kind of Daddy Metropolis, like, his whole thing is he loves and cares for his son. He's trying to protect his son. That's his whole motivation, basically. And so now you have the worker who was previously, inciting the burn the witch with the other workers. He's now protecting Daddy Metropolis from the mob.
He was kind of like their representative earlier.
He was like the go-between. And now they're learning their children are saved. They don't have to riot anymore. Yay! A lot of carrying of damsels in these old movies. That happened in Caligari, too.
It did. I was just thinking that. We were talking about Caligari earlier.
Yeah,
so
we were.
Fresh on the mind.
Wait, so Rotwang carries her all the way up there, and he's like, hold on. Literally, hold on. I got something to do.
I love that collective.
Yeah. Now they're rolling around on the roof. And then...
Oh, no.
Oh, goodbye. So we get our happy ending. Maria is safe. Metropolis Jr. Freighter is safe. Look at those guns. I think I said this the first time we watched it. He's got some good definition in those, what are those, traps? I'm not good at anatomy. The shoulder muscle.
Man, it's just like a thing with these people. They have to walk in formation.
Yeah, and they have to do the little bob. I mean, it just, the motion translates very well. So now here we have remember earlier where we saw the theme very clearly written on screen and spelled out for us? We're going to have it acted out now. So here we have fascism, Daddy Metropolis, Yo Frederson. And then we have the worker representative. I don't think he ever got a name. And they want to work together.
I think he did, I don't remember it.
They want to be friends. And Maria's like, come on, you guys. You can do it. Literally just extend your arm and shake it.
This is where you know it's not communist propaganda.
But wait. There's somebody here who can help. So this is here in case you forgot when they spelled it out earlier.
Yeah, if all the action made you forget the theme of the movie.
So basically this movie is saying the thing that unites the intellectual class, the thinking class, and the working class, the labor class, is a heart, spirit, emotion, essentially. The common good, I guess you could call it. Which, again, not communist propaganda. But we're not going to get too deep into it, but it's definitely not communist propaganda. Please, I beg you, look up Marxism. But anyway, so that was Metropolis. The quintessential, the original science fiction movie, essentially. The framework for futuristic, kind of utopian sci-fi to come.
And the model for the mad scientist.
Yes.
Mad scientist lab.
Mm-hmm. Very good lab. Very good mad scientist. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so again, highly recommend you watch that. It's free on YouTube. It is long, but
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
We were pretty entranced through the whole thing.
We were.
It wasn't like Nosferatu where I zoned out in the middle.
Yeah.
I was able to pay attention. So that in itself, I think, is a point in its favor.
Well, and I think because Metropolis has so many like surreal scenes, it keeps you going. Yeah, I don't really have any closing thoughts.
Well, that's it.
I think we got it all out.
We said a lot at the beginning, so
we did. Yeah. So it was Metropolis. Stay tuned for whatever movie we react to next. Check out the Podcastle, and we'll see you next time. Bye.